Todd Dammit Kerns from Slash featuring Myles Kennedy The Conspirators. You're watching May the Rock Be With You.
Okay, Todd, how are you, mate?
How are you?
Excellent. Lovely to talk to you.
You too. You too.
Thank you. And welcome to May the Rock Be With You, man. It's been a pleasure to follow you over the years and finally get a chance to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll have fun.
Nice. Now, we'll kick it off because obviously 4 has been out for a couple of weeks now. Now, the craziness of the last 2 years we all know about. But what's the feeling like when you finally get it out there for everyone to hear?
Yeah, it's hard not to talk about it without all the craziness, isn't it? It's it's sort of part. I mean, even being on the road right now, it's in the middle of the craziness. You know, like we say weird things like, "Oh, that was back in COVID." You know, like we're still going through the COVID thing. You know, it's like it's more like back in lockdown. You kind of say, which I know you guys kind of. I'm not sure what it's like down there, but it's America is loosened up. For better or worse, I think it's just kind of in the rearview mirror now. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's so interesting to me because we had recorded the record probably 8 to 10 months before we actually put it out. So that sort of made it all the more surreal to be sitting on a record for that long, and then for it to finally see the light of day. You know, in bits. You know, like a song here, a song there, Rivers Rising, you know, we released a song here and there. And then to have it out, it just felt like in the blink of an eye, it's just out. And suddenly we're on the road and I'm in a hotel room in Kansas City, Kansas, and it's snowing outside. You know, it just all happens so fast and so surreal that it's kind of like hard to wrap your head around. But you know, that's the interesting thing about making music, isn't it? It's sort of like, you know, you find yourself in a studio in Nashville, and then you're suddenly in a hotel room in Kansas City.
There you go. I love that. Now, obviously 4 albums in, what, if anything, did you want to or set out to do differently on this record compared to other ones?
Well, this one, the mandate was 100% to do it as live as possible, you know. So we had done Apocalyptic Love back in 2012, 10 years ago. Which is surreal enough. There you go again. Time is such an elastic thing. That one was done very live as well. Like I had recorded, I think all the rhythm guitars and bass and drums were all recorded live off the floor. I certainly didn't go back in and do any overdubs on bass. I did everything from the floor with Brent, and then later on we started to kind of do more, sort of settle more into a you know, the standard way of doing records, focus on the drums and then sort of stack it all together in sessions. But for me, it was sort of, this time was like, let's play live. And it was very, very live. We had no click track, no quantizing of the drums, no tuning of vocals. We were all in the same room with amplifiers and drums and everything just kind of all swirling together. In a lot of ways, I've been doing this for a million years. I record and produce my own stuff too. And I become so, you know, programmed to the idea of this isn't how we make records. Yeah. It's not 1969. I mean, what are we doing here? But that was the conversation. There was Dave Cobb talking about the first Black Sabbath albums and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and all that kind of thing. And you were like, yeah, okay, well, let's do that then, you know? And I think that that's certainly what we've captured. And I think when we play those songs live, to me, they feel exactly the same. You know, when we play them in front of an audience, the only difference is that there's an audience hopefully cheering along. So, yeah. But that's basically that was the big, massive change, was to go in and do this one basically live.
I was going to ask that, because how awkward is it? Does anyone clap at the end of a song, or is it just an awkward silence and next?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. At the end of a live performance in the studio, it's just kind of like looking at each other going, that was a good one, right? That was good. You know, that's basically if you could do it in front of an audience, like maybe that's the next step. That'll be the next thing Slash will want to do. Let's record a new album live in front of an audience. I'll be like, oh my God, okay. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm never surprised by anything he brings up.
No, it works though. Whatever it is, it works.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, I always like to ask about one song on the album. This case, the catchy as hell, Fill My World, is the one that jumps out at me straight away. When you hit a groove like that and it all comes together, how do you feel as a band?
Yeah, that kind of stuff comes together really quickly. And there's sort of like almost I think about this because we've been playing it live lately. There was sort of, there's almost a feeling of like, you want to complicate it more because it's so straightforward and so simplistic in a way. I mean, at least what I'm playing. As a bass player, you're always kind of fighting this sort of like, well, I don't want to be just riding the root note the whole time. But then once in a while, when you do that, you just feel like this is the most powerful thing I could do in this moment, is to just to hold together this thing, and to do anything more would sort of complicate what's important, which is the vocal and that swirling guitar line that Slash, just is so good at. Yeah, I just feel like we had an idea of what to do with that, and we probably jammed through it a couple times with Dave producing, and we probably felt, my memory, I think we did it a couple times and was like, I think that's good, to the point, to be honest with you, like I feel like I'm still refining what I want to do on the bass. It's kind of like I'm still kind of refining my part, because when you go through it a couple times, you're like, hey, that was cool, okay, I'll try this next time. And if you don't get that third chance, you're kind of, well, that's the part, what I mean? Like, so but that's kind of the coolest thing about it, is it's sort of a living, breathing thing that will continue to.
Nice. I just love it. That groove is just like one of those songs that just goes, that's the one. That's so good. But
it's a classic, I feel like, too.
Yeah, nice. Now, you mentioned you're on tour at the moment, which is awesome. Things are starting to open up. I have to ask, are there plans? Has there been talk about coming back down here?
Well, there's certainly, we would be there today if we could. I mean, I know it's been such a thing trying to get out here in our neck of the woods where things are a lot looser. But and on top of everything else, everybody's schedules are so bananas because of everything that was supposed to be happening in 2020 for Guns N' Roses or Alter Bridge or whatever was pushed back to 2021 and now pushed back to 2022. So we are all sort of weaving in and out of these insane schedules, trying to kind of find each other along the way. So I'm hoping that we can get over there. Unfortunately, it looks like it probably won't be until 2023, but I certainly think everybody's seriously wanting it to happen.
Excellent. Looking forward to that. Now, we all know, as we've talked about briefly, the last 2 years have been doozies. But what, if anything, has this whole situation in this last 2 years taught you're now going to maintain throughout your life and career?
I talk about this a lot. Myles and I have been sitting up on the bus talking all about like these sort of like the perspective of it all. You kind of feel like when you're where you're a musician, and now that we're back on the road, this sense of like you're a pirate or something, and you're going to go out on the open sea and raid and pillage, and and then one day you realize when you're sitting at home for a year or whatever it was, that I remember thinking to myself, like, this isn't so bad. It's like, I think I could get used to just kind of like puttering around in the garden and, that kind of thing. And it definitely put a big old spotlight on life and family and that kind of thing. Like it made it sort of like, I mean, everybody I talk to is like this now. They sort of realize that, like, sometimes that sense of like constantly chasing something, that you have to be doing something. It's sort of like busy work. Like, we just make ourselves busy just to be busy. Now it's sort of more about like, I love being busy. I'm a musician. I love to play music, but you kind of want to be more selective, I suppose, with the things that are pulling you from those other things that are so important. Yep. These five guys, like the Conspirators, and we sort of find our way back to each other because I think it's important to us. There really is no reason for Slash to come and do this. He doesn't have to do this. He's the other thing keeps him very busy, and he does just fine over there financially. So, but he does this because, we love playing together. We love making music together. And I think that goes all the way down the line. Checking on all five guys, I think we all feel the same way.
Nice. I love that. Now, let's look back over your career with Slash and your own endeavors. It can be very easy to say what can change over time, but what's the one thing that's always remained the same?
the same between all that stuff. You know, it's weird. I suppose it's just my love of music has always remained the same, as far as like, you know, because people, I'm one of those weird guys that people go like, well, is he a guitar player, or is he a bass player, is he a singer? And I always kind of said, well, I kind of figure I'm more just a musician. You know, I mean, like I always kind of, you know, living in Las Vegas, I sort of, you know, I am surrounded by other musicians and other musical people, and LA and Nashville and all these opportunities that kind of come to me. And they're not always just as the bass player for Slash. It's kind of like sing this or play guitar on that or whatever, you know, and produce this, you know, because I think I just have always had such a passion just for music and all things about music, you know, and songwriting and putting great harmonies on things and that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's one of those things that I think I will know if I don't have that feeling, that it's probably time to check out. You know, so, you know, if at some point I just find myself not as excited about whatever's happening, that it's probably, you know, time to take a hard look at things. Otherwise, it's just been like, you know, I enjoy it so much that I just keep doing it.
Yeah. And you've always got the gardening to fall back on. So you got that. That's all right.
Well, I don't know if I would call that something to fall back on.
To do. Now, what we do, we always get people to look ahead to the future. So I want you to finish this sentence for me. In 2022, Slash and the Conspirators will...
In the future, we'll definitely be playing music. I mean, we'll definitely be playing live. In the future, I think we have another record in us. I was even thinking about this today. I thought, like, will we ever go backwards now to trying to do more produced records, or will we sort of remain in this avenue of playing, like recording live like this? I think now that this seal has been broken, I don't think we're going back in a funny way. I think we'll probably remain just playing live, like live recordings. Yeah, I think that's. I think it'd be like, it might be a boring answer, but more of the same. I think if it was in a perfect world, it'd be record, tour, ad nauseum. We were just talking today about, like, our tour manager works with Blondie.
Yeah.
And Debbie Harry is 76 years old. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, I never even considered the fact that we would still be having this conversation, like that I would be doing this at 76, you know? But then I kind of thought to myself, well, why wouldn't I be? You know, when you think about Rod Stewart or Paul McCartney or the Stones, or what the hell else are they going to do? Gardening? You know,
see?
Yeah.
Well, I look
So
forward
that's kind of
to happen about 30 years. So
yeah, exactly. So I think in reality, it's just something that we just keep doing. I mean, Slash is definitely going to keep doing it. Whether we all fall by the wayside, he'll just keep plowing forward.
That's fine. Thank you so much for your time, man. That was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. That was a
blast.
Looking forward to seeing you down here.
You too. Take care.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.